Ever thought about how wild dating is these days? I lucked out. I met my husband at 18, but if you're in the dating game right now, let me introduce you to The League. The League is a premium dating platform that puts quality before quantity. If you're busy, ambitious, and tired of swiping through an endless stream of filtered faces, then it is perfect for you. A few months ago, I interviewed Amanda Bradford, the founder and CEO of The League, and I had such a fun time talking to her about the app and how unique it is. First up, not just anyone can join. You've got to apply and get accepted, so you'll be part of a highly engaged and safe community of like-minded, goal-oriented people like you. And instead of swiping endlessly, The League sends you personalized daily recommendations of the most compatible matches. It's like having a personal dating assistant. Now, The League isn't for casual flings or social climbers. It's for genuine folks with big dreams, career goals, and a real drive to find a meaningful long-term relationship. If you're ready to ditch dating frustration, download The League and apply today. Message #GoalDigger to your in-app concierge to jump to the front of the line.
It doesn't need to be this massive vanity metric of tens of thousands of followers to make a huge impact on your business. 100 email subscribers that want to hear from you will fuel your business far more than 1,000 on social media who never see your content. I guarantee you that right now.
I'm Jenna Kutcher, your host of the Goal Digger podcast. I escaped the corporate world at the age of 23 with nothing more than a $300 camera from Craigslist and a dream. Now I'm running a 7-figure online business that feels even better than it looks, all from my house in small town Minnesota with my family. Here, we value time as our currency. We mix the woo and the work, and we are in the pursuit of building businesses that give us the freedom to live lives that we love. I've always loved turning big goals into reality, and I'm here to help you do the same. This isn't just a peek behind the curtain. Come along with me and my guests as we tear the whole curtain down. Every week, we tackle practical, no-fluff marketing strategies and host honest discussions on what works and what doesn't. Join me and my expert guests for actionable insights to help you grow your dream business with confidence. Pull up a seat and get ready to be challenged, inspired, and empowered. This is the Goal Digger Podcast. In a world that is literally training us to constantly change and evolve in order to be effective, we have to question, does everything constantly change? And today's episode is actually going to feel like a breath of fresh air if you are someone who is exhausted from having to constantly learn and implement new strategies. Today's guests are some of my favorite people on planet Earth. We have Martha Bitar. She is the CEO and co-founder of Flowdesk, the fastest growing email marketing platform designed to help small businesses create beautiful branded emails. Martha has this pure love for design and a commitment to her customers. She's led Flowdesk to $27 million in annual revenue without doing any outside funding. She's also a devoted mom to her toddler, and Martha is currently leaning into balance and figuring out what does it look like to run a thriving startup and also be an amazing mom, all while being committed to being a lifelong learner, constantly seeking new ways to grow and innovate. Now, her partner in crime is a dear friend of mine, Natalie Frank. She is an author, a community builder, a neuroscience nerd, and a mama bear for small business owners. She is the head of community at Flowdesk and a USA Today bestselling author of a book called Gutsy, which I love. And she leads tens of thousands of small business owners while fostering a spirit of community over competition around the world. Now, Martha and Natalie are going to join me in this discussion where we spill the beans about what's working for email marketing in 2024, the topics and trends we should stay attuned to, tricks to increase conversions, why you truly need a list today, and what we need to be paying attention to. Trust me when I tell you this episode is jam-packed with information that you can literally take action on today. So definitely grab a pen and paper, get ready to take notes. Now, before we dive in, I want to share with you my free email list building challenge that helps you start, serve, and grow your email list absolutely free so that you can get your message in front of the right people at the right time. My email list is the number one way that I drive profits in my business. And I want to help you and show you how to build your own list that you can eventually launch to. And so join me as your personal guide for 5 days of free training. Head to listbuildchallenge.com and you will join me inside where I literally teach you the strategy and then Flowdesk teaches you how to implement that strategy. I'm talking about like 10 to 20 minutes a day. And at the end of 5 days, you can have a list with active subscribers on it that you can show up and serve. And today's training is definitely going to get you fired up about email marketing, but join me inside of that challenge so I can literally take your hand and help you implement all the things that we are talking about with the help of Flowdesk. So go to listbuildchallenge.com. That's listbuildchallenge.com. Join us inside of the challenge. We will walk you through this and everything that we talk about. It's going to be amazing. And without further ado, Martha and Natalie, welcome back to the Goal Digger Podcast. It's no secret that starting a business is hard. Even if you have an amazing idea, bringing it to life can be super overwhelming. HubSpot's new entrepreneurship kit is designed to help you go from idea generator to full-fledged business owner. And let me tell you, I wish I had this when I was first starting my business. This all-inclusive kit takes the guesswork out of entrepreneurship with step-by-step guides, practical resources, and easy-to-use templates. It literally walks you through every stage of starting a business and even has freelance pricing worksheets and loads more to help you get up and running immediately. Now, the best part is that it's free at HubSpot.com/ENT. With expert guidance from HubSpot, starting a business doesn't have to be hard, so don't wait to start yours. Head to HubSpot.com/ENT to download the free entrepreneurship kit, all from a company who knows a thing or two about growing bigger and better. That's HubSpot.com/ENT. I'm so excited about this episode because I am with two of my favorite women on the planet. And I do not say that ever. So you know that it's true. I secretly just want to have a girl chat, but I also want to make this so valuable for our listeners. And when my team and I were thinking about this conversation, we were thinking about the world of email marketing. And obviously, I'm immersed in it. I've been talking about it for 7 years. I've been building my list for 10 years. I think it's the number one thing that every person should be doing, regardless of what type of business you're in. But I also wanted to go to the source. And so, Martha and Natalie, welcome to the Goal Digger Podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Hi.
We're going to dive off the deep end and we're going to work our way back up to the surface. And so I want to just jump off a ledge with you. And I know you guys will follow me. And so you guys see the data as the brains behind Flowdesk, which is my favorite and top recommendation for anyone who is starting and growing their email list. And so here's the first question that I get asked. And I'm actually positive you get asked this often. Is email marketing dead? Is it outdated? Are we working off of an old playbook? Sell it to me straight.
Every single year, there's an article on TechCrunch or somewhere big that argues that email marketing is dead and the future is something else, that something else typically disappears within a couple of months. And I don't think it's dead yet. I'm not saying it's never going to die, but if you look at the data, as you say, if you look at the stats, email converts 6 times better than social media, right? Mm-hmm. So let's just put numbers here for a second. Let's say you have 200 people on your email list, right? Or 200 people in your audience. That means that if you send an email, you're going to get 3% average click rate. That's 6 people, right? And on social media, if every single one of those 200 people see your post, 0.5% will engage. That's 1%, right? So 1% versus 6. And obviously it scales, right? And that is if the entire audience sees it.
That if is so outlandish in a world where
I know
3 to 5% of our audience sees, maybe 10 if we're lucky. So we're talking about 20 people most out of those 200 even see it. And the second thing you said is that whatever percentage engage, and engagement doesn't actually mean a result, right? A like and a comment doesn't usually connect to an actual result. So I'm just
exactly.
I just want to drive this home because this is so important.
Exactly. It does not mean a click, right? And the click does mean they're actually converting to whatever goes next. Now, if you look at the math, that's not even okay, 200 people That's one person on social media, right? Reduce the total amount of eyeballs that even saw your post. That's not even one person, right? So Natalie, I know you were going to say something, but yes, I'm very passionate about these.
I would go as far as to say email is not dying. It's actually more important than it has ever been before. And I know that's a hot take, but I only see it becoming more important, especially for small business owners. I'll give some reasons as to why. So obviously we've heard about the potential TikTok shutdown. I mean, it's been all over the news. We also have recently heard about Meta testing, higher levels of paying for verification and limiting reach potentially based on how much you're able to pay for visibility. This goes back to the premise of, renting space on somebody else's platform versus owning your list, owning access to your audience. And in a world where small business owners, creators, anybody who has a talent and is getting out there to share it with the world, they can't afford to build their entire empire on somebody else's land anymore. They don't have control over the algorithm. The age of organic reach on social, we all know it's dying a rapid death. So what email does is email is the platform that is for small business, right? Email is the platform where you actually own access to this audience. So I'm sorry I get a little fired up, but as someone that cares so deeply about small business, it always kills me when, I'll chat with people and I'll say, okay, where are your marketing hours going? Again, as someone who's a marketer through and through and loves marketing, where are those marketing hours going? And I so often hear, this social media platform, that social media platform, that's where I'm spending all day. And I kind of take that step back and I just say to them, but what's really converting for you? How many people in your audience are not only seeing your content, but are showing up with a intent, like a true intent, and with a behavioral kind of leaning towards buying from you? Because people think, just because someone's seeing it on social, as Martha talked about, it's not even that they're going there with the intent to buy. They're going there often with the intent to be entertained. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the inbox, why do you open your inbox? What is the reason you are opening the inbox, clicking the promotions tab, or even just looking forward to that next email from Jenna or that next email from your favorite creator? Because you have an intent to connect, potentially to buy, right? So from a psychology perspective too, there are differences. I'm just incredibly bullish on email. And I love the data. I'll leave y'all with this. Email marketing promises the highest ROI out of all marketing channels. I have a stat here from the Direct Marketing Association that earning an average of $42 back for your business for every dollar spent. And that is more significant than any of the other channels so many people are pouring their time, their hearts, their souls into that are getting frustrated over. And email's just waiting for you to come in, own your audience, and make an impact.
Well, one more thing, because we work at an email marketing company, so we're going to say that email is everything. But if you think about the audience that you're emailing, millennials are even more bullish than the past generation on email. And then when you look at Gen Z, they're even more bullish on email than millennials, right? So the audience that you're contacting actually wants to hear from you in an email. They feel like it's a more special, more private connection. They want to see the human you, the behind the scenes you. And a lot of people are actually concerned about landing in that promotions tab, but readers want you to land in that promotions tab because and back to what Natalie was saying about the intent, they have a very different brain when they go and explore the promotions tab. It's not a get done mode. It's let me read these. Let me sit with these. Let me click. Let me engage. And that's actually really positive.
Okay. I am obsessed with all of this. I couldn't agree with all of it. I also think it's important that as the creator, so we're talking about the people consuming the email content, but as the creator, you are in a much different position in communicating to your email list in so many different ways, right? So we all know that to get on an email list, somebody has to opt in. So they are literally raising their hand and saying, yes, I want this, or I'm curious about this, or tell me more. And as somebody creating for these people who have opted in, you have a way different tone. You have a way different message. You have a way different strategy. And I think, it's funny. I was just with a bunch of entrepreneurs and everyone was like, I am so sick of social media. And I was like, same. And it's because we feel like we're screaming to the masses in these like 5-second sound bites with hooks, right? Like it's not how we want to communicate and it's not how we want to be communicated with. And so I think too, it's like, yes, we are highlighting from the consumer standpoint to argue it is definitely not dead. It is alive and well. But also from the burned out creator standpoint, oh, it can shift everything. Okay, so my next question is this. We all know that email marketing is constantly evolving. So let's talk about like current day strategies, right? It's easy for me to talk about the things I did 10 years ago to get my list up and running and how it astronomically impacted my income. But let's talk about a strategy or a trend that marketers, especially beginners, should be leveraging right now when it comes to growing their email list.
Okay, I am going to parentheses this real quick by saying something, and then Natalie can answer this question very well. But the parentheses is that we're used to feeling like we have to keep up with the changes because social media has trained us. Also, we love social media. I think it does have a very good space for your business. But social media is training us to that the algorithm's always changing and the strategy is changing. And what worked in the past, even like a month ago, won't work anymore. And the beauty of email is that it doesn't change that much. So I'm going to let Natalie answer that question, but the answer is probably going to be just as relevant as it was before. I think what changes is what people are looking for, which is more of an authentic human connection. What changes is the type of content, but the strategies, I mean, anyone truly with no knowledge of email marketing can start today and become an expert by tomorrow.
Yes, I love that. I agree 100%. And when we talk about growing your list in 2024, Martha's spot on. You know, the strategies to grow your list that worked in the beginning of email all the way through that work today, they work. Now, the way we can get really creative and innovate, obviously there's always room for growth and exploration. My biggest bit of advice to anyone listening who's saying, I want to start growing my list, what's going to work today? I would say you need to be leveraging your link in bio. This is the number one thing today that I see most people not doing. That's a huge mistake. So think of your link in bio like your most viewed top of funnel real estate. This is the place where, you know, people who do discover you on those social platforms, they come to kind of engage further. And so many people just have a little curated list of links. And it breaks my heart every time I see it. Even if the links are CTAs to downloadables, CTAs to lead magnets. You shouldn't have to require necessarily a click to an external site to immediately capture that email contact info. So I'm a big believer. First thing you can do 2024 right now to change your list growth strategy would be to leverage your link in bio. Make sure that you have an offer right at the top above the fold, right at the top of their visual field when they click in, offering them something of value in exchange for their email and their contact information. This was something for me that I personally wrote off for a very long time. And it really wasn't until Flodesk came out with the link in bio form, like the ability for me to build my link in bio in Flodesk when I made the switch. And Martha's like, Nat, you got to try it. And I hadn't joined the company yet at the time. She's like, you got to try it. Test it out for us. Tell us what you think. And I thought it was beautiful and I loved creating it. And that at first is what I enjoyed most. But it wasn't until a week later when I messaged Martha again and I said, my list is growing like crazy. What did you do on this form? Like my list is suddenly exploding. And it was just the realization that I had been missing that opportunity all along. So would highly, highly call that out.
Okay, so to clarify, so people would just have one link in their bio and then it would lead them to the link in bio page that Flodesk has, and it would have the opt-ins waiting for them and all the other information. And it really reduces friction for the user.
It does. And it still includes the links. Yeah. So that's the thing. You're not giving up that beautifully curated list of links, so right? We need access to move them to other places. But what I'm saying is make sure that you're not missing out on the opportunity to get their email first and foremost, because again, people are looking for 0.5 seconds, 1 second at your link in bio, and they're making a snap judgment. It's why so many experts say, keep it really simple. You never know how long you're going to have their attention. So if you have 20 links, they're just going to click away. They're not even going to read those 20 links. But if you have one strong opt-in with a very, very clear call to action right at the top, the likelihood of conversion increases significantly. And then, you include your links below, obviously, if that wasn't what someone was looking for. So you give them other alternative ways to engage with you. But I think you can have the best of both worlds.
Oh, okay. I feel like I'm making that mistake right now. I need to go tidy things up. Hiring new team members used to have me nervous, but as I've grown my team, I developed my own unique hiring strategy that has allowed me to build a collaborative, powerful work culture. And a massive part of that strategy has been LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs is perfect for finding the right professionals for your team faster and for free. It's so fast that 86% of small businesses find a qualified candidate within 24 hours. And it isn't just a job board, it's where you'll find amazing candidates you won't see anywhere else. 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not on LinkedIn, you are missing out big time. I recently hired a strategic partnership manager and LinkedIn made it seamless. Posted the job and in a matter of hours, I had solid options to choose from. Brooke stood out immediately. Her experience was a perfect match and she's been hired and an amazing addition to our team. In fact, I have hired my last 6 team members using LinkedIn. It is just that easy. Join the 2.5 million small businesses that use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Jenna. That's linkedin.com/Jenna to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. I will never forget an anniversary trip that Drew and I took years ago where we drove the Pacific Coast Highway from LA to San Francisco. And I was so excited because I was in charge of booking the Airbnbs for the trip. And after looking through all of our options, I found the one. Found this farmhouse where we could rent out a room and wake up and collect our own eggs for breakfast in the morning, feed their alpacas, and play with their goats. When we arrived at this Airbnb, the hosts were there waiting for us with a chilled bottle of wine. They showed us our room and bathroom, and then they gave us a tour of their farm. Now, looking back, that trip planted a seed for us to dream about owning our own rental property and not overcomplicating the process. Since then, we've become real estate lovers and super hosts on Airbnb, and honestly, it is one of my favorite parts of my job. Now, something that people don't realize is that you don't necessarily need an investment property to do this. You can create an Airbnb revenue stream from your own home or even host a single room in your house. Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host. Okay, the next question, and this I get asked all the time. And so I need people to hear it not from me. It's like when your partner in your life tells you something and you don't hear it, but then your best friend says it and you're like, oh, that's mind blowing. So here's my question. How do people grow their email list if they don't have massive social media followings? What do we do? Like, is it possible? Because I think it's a clear path of like, get people off of the platforms and onto your list. But what if you don't have a lot of people on the platforms in the first place?
Yeah, I can take that. So you have to think of your own experience with other people's list and start there, right? First, you connect with people, right? Not with the company, not with the brand, right? So remember that there's a human at the other side of the list. And then think, what would that human want in exchange for giving me their email? Because that email is very valuable, right? They're not following you on social media where they may or may not see your posts. Like when you send someone an email, that email lands in their inbox. They're getting your content, right? And that inbox is very curated, right? So you're coming into their house in a way. So the first thing to do is create something of value, and that is called a lead magnet. And it could be anything from a digital download, your top 5 tips. A really good hack to figure out what your lead magnet should be is to gather the top questions that your clients are asking you and then convert that into a download. Now, it could be also maybe a freebie, right? Like a free taste of what you do so that people can see the value, and then gate that behind the subscription form. So subscribe to my newsletter and get XYZ. And that creates immediate value. It gets you real, engaged subscribers. And yeah, and it starts a very good relationship with value. So I would say that's probably top.
I also love a good quiz. I am a fan of a very good quiz. Yes. Like I know, Jenna, you have some amazing quizzes, the What's Your Secret Sauce quiz that you guys have when you launched your book. Yeah. I loved the Who Are You Really quiz. And so for anyone who, maybe you've tried lead magnets, maybe you feel like, you want to try something new outside of what we've already covered, I would say next step for you, I would encourage you to check out a quiz. Flowdesk integrates directly with Interact. It's a quiz software, makes it really easy to create that quiz. And I found them to be one of the most successful ways to collect email addresses and grow your list. And they also, as a side note, provide you with insight about your audience. So it's a major win-win, right? You're capturing the contact info. You're also learning about your audience. But I do just want to highlight again what Martha said. the rule of thumb here, the key point to take away above any kind of tactic, right, at the end of the day is just show up with value.
Yeah.
If you show up with something that is so valuable to that person on the other side of the screen that they feel excited to give you their email, that's how the entire experience should feel, right? We're not trying to sell them in a sleazy way. This isn't an uncomfortable, like, please give me your contact info with like an evil laugh behind the screen. Like, that's not how this works. It's, no, I have something of value. And anyone listening to this, you do have something of value. You have knowledge, you have experience, you have something that people want. Your storytelling, I could go on and on. The point being, show up with value first. If you can find whatever it is that they are truly looking for, and package it in a way that they can receive it, whether it's insights from your mind or learnings about themselves, which is where the quizzes come in, you're going to find that people are really excited to give you their email. And then my other little tip to add on would be to continue that mindset throughout the early nurturing of the relationship. Keep showing up in value over and over again. Don't let the lead magnet or the quiz be the first and only time that you are giving them something very special, right? Build that into the welcome sequence, continue that process. So then in the end, you're going to have this incredibly passionate group of email subscribers. And it doesn't need to be this massive vanity metric of tens of thousands of followers to make a huge impact on your business. 100 email subscribers that want to hear from you will fuel your business far more than 1,000 on social media who never see your content. I guarantee you that right now.
And that's what's so amazing to me about email marketing. I know we've all heard that like stat of like, one email subscriber should be an extra dollar of revenue per month. And I would argue if you are consistently serving them, right? Like there has to be something to that. But I think what's so beautiful is like if a listener was just to imagine what an extra $100 would look like for them each month, or what an extra $1,000 would look like, it really gamifies email list building in a beautiful way of like, how can I add value in such a way that people are excited to give me their email address? How can I show up and serve in a beautiful way? And then how can I provide invitations for the logical next steps for these people? And it totally shifts out of this feeling of like we often can feel on social media where it's like screaming to the masses and like, I hope the right person sees this and I hope that they take action on this and I hope that they click the link in the bio and then they get off of this and take the next step. And it's like this more frictionless opportunity to connect on such a higher level that the like energetic exchange, it just feels different to me. It just feels like such a breath of fresh air in a world where I think we've become curious and cautious about how we're being sold to, in a way of like, I can actually speak to you because I know something about you that gives me the ability to actually serve you in the way that you are hopefully desiring to be served. And I'm giving you an opportunity to RSVP to an invitation and you can say yes or no. And there's no emotion involved, right? I will still keep serving you if you say no. And if you say yes, that's amazing. And I just like, to me, I think it's what so many of us are craving, especially like heart-centered entrepreneurs who are doing the things they love and can't believe they're fortunate to get paid to do them. It just changes the exchange.
I love that you called it energetic exchange because it is exactly that. And then what's craziest is that right now the mainstream adoption of AI means that we're going to go even more robotic, right? Like a lot of email marketing companies are already enabling AI generated content, right? Like you're going to start receiving newsletters that were AI generated. Email marketing companies are already creating these like list growth strategies. I was just looking at one of them where someone joins your list and then it recommends other lists to join. And these subscribers are worth 1/10 of an actual organic subscriber, right? So in a world where we're headed towards these like AI powered content, right? Newsletters are going to start feeling like ads. And guess what happens, right? At the beginning, sure, maybe it works, right? For a few months. But what happened on social media? People start getting ad savvy and then all they want is a real you, right? All they want is a real recommendation. It's the behind the scenes. It's the messy. And your focus on really like the energetic exchange, the true, like there's a human being on this side of the screen, there's a human being on that other side of the screen, to me is what is going to define the most successful newsletters in the future, period, right? It's that human, it's that people aspect.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting is in our most recent launch, we did something we haven't done in the past because oftentimes we're dealing with a high volume of people. And I was like, we're talking about the power of email marketing. Let's show it. So we actually had in the email, hit reply and let us know. And we had something of a call to action. And then we were able to have these one-on-one conversations with people. And I was like, this is how this works. We are literally illustrating this at a massive scale that is requiring beautiful manpower, but creating space for real connection. And I just loved that pivot because I was like, I want to like literally, hi, it's me. Like I am here and you are there. And I know that. And the fact that you hit reply means I get to hit reply. And like, again, it's just like, it's just such a different thing. And I think that so many people listening are burned out by strategies that kind of take off and then fizzle. And I love what you said, Martha, about the fact that like there's so much tried and trueness with email marketing. Because on my webinar, somebody asked me, well, what has changed the most in the last 10 years? And I sat there like stumped for a minute. And I was like, you know what? Nothing really has changed in a beautiful way. And so it is unwiring that constant need for changing and trends and things and like getting to the heart of it, which also means that entrepreneurs can create systems around how this works for them and how they write and what that flow looks like and imagining that person, you know, getting this week by week. And it just, there's so much beauty in it. And I think that some people hear it and they're like, this is going to be hard and it's going to be a grind and it's not as sexy as social. And I think it's way sexier, if you ask me. What I'm so passionate about with Flowdesk and why I recommend it to everyone is it's beautiful. I mean, let's just give a shout out to like female founders who actually put time and effort and care into what things look like. And I've heard arguments in the past of like, email marketing can't be pretty and effective. And so I kind of want to hear the argument on that because I've actually seen that to not be true. And so it's like, let's dispel that myth.
Yeah. Okay. So it was true, right? Yeah. I think where there's smoke, there was fire, right? I don't know, I'm ESL, so I think it goes something like that. But it was true. I think in the past, the inbox managers like Gmail and Yahoo and Outlook weren't sophisticated enough to tell when something was spam and when it wasn't. So one of the tools they had was if this email is very image heavy, then it is very likely spam. And it would, but this is like 10, 15, 20 years ago, right? Like when these dinosaur companies were created. The beauty of AI is that it's something that is not new. And Google, for example, has been using it a lot for the last few years, like decades, right? And it actually has gotten really sophisticated in being able to tell when something is spam and when it is not. So they're no longer using the image as a spam predictor. In fact, if you look at some of the world's top companies that are really crushing it with email marketing, like Anthropologie, Airbnb, Urban Outfitters, right? I love Reformation emails. They're all image, right? Like 100% image. And that's okay. We were at Stripe Sessions. It's a Stripe's conference recently, and they had a presentation about design. And they showed an experiment that they ran internally. And this is an enterprise company serving enterprise people, right? And they ran an experiment with an email that was ugly, text, kind of like no formatting. And then they beautified it. And the beautified email converted more than 20 times better. And again, this is not creatives, this is not solopreneurs, this is enterprise selling to like hardcore enterprise developers. And it's the truth, right? Like beauty converts, and beauty and good design is not an option anymore. It's an expectation, and you just have to do it. Now, on top of that, we have a patent for Flowdesk. So it's actually like granted patent, an invention that we created that automatically optimizes the delivery of your email. So if it has some text version and some layouts, the text version gets delivered in just pure text, and then the layouts get delivered in a flattened, lighter image version. So it is actually behind the scenes optimized for deliverability. You don't see it because you don't have to, because why would we put that on your hands if we can just automate it? But yeah, so you just don't have to struggle with that.
I love that. Is your LinkedIn profile gathering dust? If so, you are wasting a huge opportunity. LinkedIn is where you need to be if you're selling to other businesses and you're serious about driving real results. Imagine you're hosting the ultimate business mixer and LinkedIn is your VIP guest list. I'm talking about over 1 billion members, including 180 million senior level executives and 10 million C-level big shots. These are the people who can make things happen. On other platforms, it can feel like you're shouting into the void, but with LinkedIn ads, you're having meaningful conversations and building relationships with decision makers who are actually interested in what you have to offer. This is a place where people actually expect and appreciate professional outreach. LinkedIn generates 2 to 5 times higher return on ad spend compared to other social platforms, and this is why 79% of B2B content marketers say LinkedIn is their top choice for paid media. Make B2B marketing everything it can be and get a $100 credit on your next campaign. Head to linkedin.com/goal to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/goal. Terms and conditions apply. Okay. I want to know, Natalie, what types of content are most effective in email marketing right now? And how can businesses keep that email content fresh and engaging? So I think a lot of times people understand the general, create the freebie, deliver the freebie, then what?
Yes. Okay. I love this question. And first and foremost, I just want to say good content is not what we say good content is. It's what your audience says good content is. So that's where I actually want everyone to start. I want you to start by really getting to know your audience and understand what they are excited to hear from you week over week. There are a multitude of ways to do this. Obviously, you can run surveys. You can encourage replies. I love, Jenna, that you did that with your most recent launch. I saw that. I watched the webinar. You killed it. It was so good. Like, that's a great way to get that qualitative feedback. And once you've done that, then you can, especially right now, things I'm seeing, then you can do a couple of things to really enhance the content that you provide. So one is exclusivity. I think there is magic in a world where so often it feels like everyone has access to everyone 24 hours a day on things like social, to actually take your list and remind them that they are a true part of your community, right? Make it exclusive. Provide content, value, and insider insights only to them. Make that clear that it's only for them. You can also use that email list and use the content in it to give early access to things. So early access to flash sales, opportunities to work with you, giveaways for one-on-one sessions or small group sessions. I've seen that done to learn even more about the audience when you're crafting something like a course or an offering for your business. The second thing, and I will probably encourage this until my last breath, is content that engages in authentic storytelling. Martha already said this, so I'm just going to highlight it once again. People really want to know you, the real you. My highest performing email I've ever sent had a subject line that was face planting in an airport. I've never had more people open an email than that email. And it was just a story of me trying to be cute in a new pair of boots, which highly do not recommend wearing a brand new pair of slippery soled boots in an airport when you're running late from one flight to another. And I'm running through the Indianapolis airport. I slip, I fall flat on my face, sprawled out on the floor. And the learning from it was nobody even paid attention. Nobody looked. Nobody even stopped to help me. It was so mortifying. And yet I popped my head up like a turtle on this overly shiny floor, and no one's even paying attention. And I wove it into a story for my business community about so often we're afraid to fail and make mistakes, in a miserable public way. And yet I guarantee no one's watching you as closely as you think. But that story, that real moment of genuine human nature, tripping in an airport, looking like a fool, like that's the story. People, it's maybe been 6 years now, 5-6 years now since I wrote that email, people still bring it up to me. My point is authentic storytelling tied to value will always have a place in good content. And then the last thing I will say is that your audience is really busy. So number 3 is curate for them. Curated value is so important in this day and age. I've seen lists like The Skim, Morning Brew. The thing that they are doing is really just curating the day's news or the business news in a way that makes it very digestible and easy to read. And so if you're not a long form content person, if that's not where you shine, if the storytelling doesn't need to go on for 3 paragraphs, that's okay too. You can provide value and content that people are going to love by curating, the outfits of the week, for creators especially, right? The products you're loving, the natural items you've brought into your skincare routine that have changed the game, whatever it is that you create for your audience in terms of value. If you curate it and you deliver it in a way that is beautiful, like I love, Martha, that you touched on that, but beautiful and just really easy to digest, that in and of itself is value too.
Oh my gosh. So much amen to that. And it's so interesting to me where people are like, well, I don't know what I'd say. And then you're like, well, are you creating content on other platforms? Yes. Do you have a podcast or a YouTube channel or a blog or anything? Like, your email can like help get people to those things, right? So it's like giving an extra shelf life to stuff you're creating. And I also love the exclusive thing. If you haven't noticed, everywhere there are subscription services popping up where people are literally paying to get exclusive content, whether it's on Substack, whether it's a broadcast channel, whether it is like extra ad-free premium content on podcasts. And so if you think about it, if somebody would be willing to pay $5 a month to get exclusive content and you're giving it for free and you're literally just serving your list with something that not everyone else is getting, you are providing massive value that people will be so excited and an opportunity for you to have a way to grow your list. One of my friends, Danielle Canty, she was a co-founder of Boss Babe. She just did this yesterday where she was like, I'm sending out an email about the 5 things that I wish I would have done differently at the beginning of my career. It is only going out to my email. Tap here to subscribe before I send it. And I was like, she didn't even have to create a freebie. She was already going to send that email, and just giving that opt-in gets people excited to get that email and the emails that follow. And so it's like, I think sometimes our brains like to overcomplicate things to add more chaos and confusion to something that is actually rather quite simple. And so I think that can be really powerful. Okay, so what trends or patterns have you noticed so far this year that are working to get people to take action in the email? So we've talked about how to grow, but what trends or patterns or tips do you guys have for getting people like from the email to the sales page or to the offer page or to book the call or to buy the product? What are you seeing?
So before we even go to the content of the email itself, one thing I will say that is increasing conversions across the board, and something I just want to encourage people to do more often, is increase the frequency of when they're sending emails. So earlier this year, we released our Small Business Trends Report, which was essentially kind of a data dive that we did behind the scenes. We looked at, every email sent across our platform, or most of them, I should say, in 2023 in an aggregated and anonymized way. It was, over 6 billion, maybe almost 7 billion emails in 2023. And what we found is that 63% of, members that we have are emailing their list less than once a month. And so I want to call this out first and foremost and say, if you are not part of that 63%, if you are someone that is emailing at least once a month, I'm a big fan of a bi-weekly. If you have the bandwidth to do it, but monthly is also amazing as well. This is a great just first step. If you want people taking action in those emails, they have to hear from you. I know it sounds so simple and it's common sense, but you have to be showing up consistently and repeatedly. Think of it like, you meet somebody for the first time, you shake hands, and if you never hear from them again, are you ever going to take action if you walk by in the street and they say, hey, I want to tell you about this amazing thing that I'm working on? You're like, do I know you? I don't remember. Have we met? Versus, there's a little coffee shop down the street that I go to almost every morning with my husband and our kids. And we run into the same neighbors every single day. And we have little conversations. If any one of them, and actually last weekend, the gentleman who works at the coffee shop is raising money for the food bank. He's selling t-shirts with our neighborhood name on them. And I saw him chatting with someone else about it. I bought 3 shirts. He didn't even sell it to me. Mm-hmm. I felt this need to be, giving in reciprocity to someone who I've come to really value. And that's the first thing that you need to do. Increase the frequency, start engaging with your list. I encourage monthly to bi-weekly to weekly if you can. If you actually can do weekly or more, great. I know for a lot of folks, that's really overwhelming. So start with just committing to once a month. Mm-hmm. That's my first recommendation. But then we get to the content of the email. And I'm going to give you some quick, really clear principles that we have seen, and as a marketer that I have seen work exceptionally well. And the first is simple but important, and you would be surprised how many times this is not the case. You need to make sure that you have very easy to spot call to actions, right? You need to leverage buttons. You need to aim for bold visual contrast that is easy to spot in an email. And the same goes for, if you're linking in the text itself, make sure they can actually tell that it's a hyperlink. So often I see these beautiful emails, but there's either no call to action or the call to action is so far at the bottom of the email that you've missed that opportunity to really grab them from the beginning and have a call to action a little bit further up in the conversation. So that's one. Second thing I'll say is leverage your psychological sales principles of urgency and FOMO, right? We have a countdown timer. We just launched it a few months ago. It's built right into the emails that you can send. Take advantage of the fact that, if you are trying to get people to a sale that you're offering or something exclusive, specifically when we're actually going to make the sale, make sure that you're giving them a reason to do it now, because what can happen is they might have all the best intent in the world and actually want to attend your webinar, want to take advantage of that sale, but they don't feel that extra little nudge to do it now. So when you can do something that encourages urgency or creates a little bit of a feeling of, this isn't going to be around forever, you can create kind of that behavior to take action a little bit more quickly. And then that also helps them from missing out, because we've all been in a scenario where we see an email, somebody's offering something amazing. And then, I think about my kids, like the kid starts crying. And I'm like, oh no, I got to run over and take care of Huey. And my attention is gone. But sometimes when someone just says, oh, it's through the next 24 hours, 48 hours only, I do remember to go back and take action. Or if not distracted, I'm able to take action right away. So whether it's making sure you have clarity in your calls to action, urgency, creating that little bit of FOMO, obviously in an authentic way. We don't want to be inauthentic in our marketing in any way, but just reminding them, hey, I don't want you to miss out. I know this is of value. I know this is going to make an impact in your life. Definitely, include that and include it early in the email and often.
One thing I want to add to this, because I am obsessed, Natalie, is that we pay a lot of money for data assessment in our company. And all of the things you just said are what we pay thousands of dollars to hear. And so the top 3 optimizations that people can make are subject lines. So making them super clear. I think oftentimes we try to get fluffy or super creative. And we found that the more clear we can be in the subject line, the more people will open it. The second thing is exactly what Natalie said, getting the links super obvious and above the fold. And so sometimes when I write copy, I, tell the story first and get to the point, blah, blah, blah. And then I literally have to flip the email on its head and be like, okay, what is the most important thing they need to know first to make a decision? And then how can I just affirm that decision as they continue to read? And so we've literally just had to go through emails that have converted well, but could convert better, and just rejig and rework them. So I still write in the way that I write, but then I optimize. And then the third thing is consistency in links. And we realize sometimes we do a pink link, sometimes we do a red one, sometimes the hyperlink is blue. And it was you want to train people on the best way to take action with you and to just get comfortable. So even if they're not clicking a link in one email, but then they see it in the next, it's just very clear of this is what a link looks like from Jenna. And so all of us creatives are cringing of oh, dang it. We've got to rein it in a little bit, but rein it in the optimizing ways, and then let the glitter fly in all the other places. And so those are the things we pay lots of money to learn. And now you have them all. And we are just keeping it clear, I think, is the best thing, where it's a lot of times we can add in unnecessary fluff, which can just create more friction for somebody in their experience. So I love what you said. Okay. One of my final questions is looking ahead. I want to know your predictions. I want us a year from now, 2 years from now, Natalie, you were one of my first episodes on this podcast. So 7 years from now, to come back and let's say we had a stinking crystal ball on email marketing. And so each of you, I'll start with you first, Martha. What are some of your predictions for the future of email marketing? And what do you maybe see changing or in the landscape shifting?
Yeah. I think the first one is a split. I think we had a split of email marketing with content focused email marketing and data focused. So just automations for automation's sake versus newsletter, fresh content. I think the next split is going to be AI generated content versus AI behind the scenes. We're the second type, because AI generated content, I think a lot of the newsletters you're going to get are going to start sounding the same. You're going to start reading a lot of GPT sentences here and there that sound awkward. And you're like, oh my God, this person started to sound different. And then they're all kind of blending together, versus people who are definitely using AI, but more to power insights, to make better recommendations on how to clean your list. What are some of the top automations that you might be missing? And then are bringing their person forward, doubling down on that human connection aspect. That would be my top prediction.
I love it. Natalie?
I can't beat that. I think that is such a spot on prediction, and I would be willing to bet so much on it coming true. But here are some of the things. I'll have fun with this one. 7 years from now, some fun things that I'd love to see. So I would love to see, Gmail, Yahoo, platforms like that. And I think they may become even better at helping to handle things, yes, like spam, but also categorization. I've noticed even recently that Google, or Gmail specifically, is starting to pre-populate images that are featured in emails that are being sent. So my Sephora email, when I opened my inbox, actually showed me a tiny highlight of the image in the Sephora email. What does that tell me? It tells me that, we're not the only ones who acknowledge that in order to grab someone's attention and to keep them engaged, they're going to want to see something beautiful and visual. So with my crystal ball, I actually believe that visual, beautiful emails will become far more important, that people will acknowledge that having a gorgeous brand that they're investing time and money and energy into can't then lead into ugly emails. Like that cannot be the future of marketing. You have to have brand consistency across the board. And Gmail, Yahoo, platforms like those in which we actually read our emails and digest are going to actually adapt to become more friendly to the types of content that people want to be engaging with. Because what I believe as well is that, they're in competition with social media in a very strange way. They want people's attention. They want people engaging in the inbox just in the same way that we do as creators. So they're going to take advantage of, leaning into the things that will keep people excited to open their inbox. I imagine it'll be more visual. I imagine it will be tailoring and personalizing and enabling the actual recipient of emails to have more control over their inbox and what they see and when they see it and how it's organized. And so it's just, to me, an exciting moment because it really puts power back into the hands of the small business owner who isn't just lost in a sea full of, saturated content that people are scrolling to consume like little dopamine hits without an intent to actually engage, connect, or buy, but instead to have a space in the inbox going forward long into the future as it is today, where their subscribers can't wait to hear from them and are excited to see the real human behind the email.
What a compelling future you guys have painted. I am here for it all. Where can everybody find out more about you guys and connect with you? I love you both.
Yes. So first and foremost, just highly recommend checking out Flodesk.com. And we're on all social channels. So at Flodesk. You can also, if you want to chat with a human, obviously, who's behind Flodesk, you can find me at Natalie Frank. I'm the head of marketing here at Flodesk, and I would love to help you in any way that I can as you get started on launching your list. Would just love to be a part of your journey.
Thank you, guys. We have been through so much life together, the three of us.
I know.
It's actually remarkable. And I love what you're doing. I love how you're doing it. And I love the way that it is just bringing up this creator economy in such a beautiful way. And so just thank you for spending time with me and using our magic crystal balls to really believe in a beautiful future where email marketing is a part of it. Thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Call me giddy, but I am obsessed with the fact that I literally get to talk to people that I love about topics that I nerd out on. This episode was just so much fun. And I love getting other people's hot takes who have that industry knowledge, because you can hear things from me, but when you hear it from the source, maybe it hits a little bit differently. And I have a feeling that might have been what happened for you today. As a reminder, I want to invite you to join all of us inside of my list building challenge. It is 5 days long. We have the strategy and the implementation. I'm talking about tech tutorials to walk you through exactly how to do what I'm teaching so that you can literally get your email list set up and running and get subscribers on it. Join us inside of my list building challenge at listbuildchallenge.com. That's listbuildchallenge.com. Not only will you learn from me how to get started, but you'll also learn from Flodesk how to use that platform so that you can get fast results. I want to make this the easiest shift to winning for you. And so again, join me at listbuildchallenge.com. I hope you loved today's episode as much as I did. Until next time, keep on digging your biggest goals. Thanks for pulling up a seat for another episode of the Goal Digger Podcast. I hope today's episode fueled you with inspiration, gave you information that you can turn into action, and realigned you with your true north in life and business. If you've enjoyed today's episode, head on over to goaldiggerpodcast.com for today's show notes, discount codes for our sponsors, freebies to fuel your results, and so much more. And if you haven't yet, make sure you're subscribed so that you never miss a future show. We'll see you next time, Goal Diggers.
Please note, This episode may contain paid endorsements and advertisements, and individuals on the show may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to in the episode. Your support through affiliate links or sponsored content helps us continue to bring you valuable content. Thank you for being a part of the Goal Digger community.